SVG just kind of schools them again.
Yeah, but I think all of us enjoyed that little scrap with Larson, and Larson
And
didn't
the 20.
appreciate, and
Yeah.
the 20. It was Kyle Larson's words where he said, if Shane van Gisbergen learns how to race ovals, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And so then SVG's coming off his first top 10, and then those two end up racing together. I love that moment.
Shane van Gisbergen just changed what everyone thought was possible in NASCAR. In the tough world of the Cup Series, where every second counts, he showed a new level of skill that has other drivers talking. On the 5th of October 2025, at the Charlotte Roval, the driver from New Zealand didn't just win, he dominated. Even though he wasn't in the playoffs, Shane led 57 laps and beat Kyle Larson by more than 15 seconds, earning his 5th straight road course victory. For many drivers, it was a shock. They weren't ready for someone to race this smooth, this smart, and this fast. Now, people across the garage say the same thing. Shane van Gisbergen has changed the game, and catching up to him might not be easy. To many observers, what van Gisbergen accomplished feels less like luck and more like mastery. His pedigree from supercars in Australia, where he captured 3 championships with aggressive racing and razor-sharp technique, has translated seamlessly to NASCAR's road circuits. His ability to read grip, manage tires, and extract speed through complex corners has forced veterans to admit that his skill set operates in a league of its own. Bubba Wallace's spotter, Freddie Kraft, put it bluntly on Dirty Mo Media's X, Shane van Gisbergen just kind of schools them again. That comment came from someone with front-row access to elite competition, underlining how seriously teams now regard SVG's approach. Freddie Kraft's statement glowed across social feeds, capturing the essence of what many in the garage already know. Van Gisbergen is doing things others can't replicate. Larson, reflecting post-race, said he felt like SVG was just way faster that day, almost toying with the field. Larson added that throughout the race, he and Christopher Bell tried combining forces to slow him down, but Van Gisbergen simply held firm. Meanwhile, Tommy Baldwin recounted Larson's own admission. He, Kyle Larson, basically said that he and the 20 were almost trying to team up on SVG to make it kind of miserable a little bit for him. Yet Van Gisbergen emerged unscathed. His post-race comment that he gave Larson a bump into 7 then was pretty aggressive from there on, showcased a mix of calculated aggression and composure, traits that, combined with his technical brilliance, will make racing him feel like chasing a ghost. But what's most staggering isn't just the win streak, it's what it implies for the future of NASCAR's road courses. Van Gisbergen now stands just 1 win away from tying Jeff Gordon's record of 6 straight road course victories, a benchmark set between 1,997 and 2,000. In 2025 alone, Van Gisbergen's string of triumphs at Mexico City, Sonoma, Watkins Glen, and now the Roval has many talking about legacy. He is no longer just a part of the roster, he is reshaping what our expectations are of what a road racer should be in this series. Trackhouse Racing's owner, Justin Marks, gave voice to the behind-the-scenes strength of Van Gisbergen's campaign. Marks reminded observers that elite performance isn't solo, it takes the entire 88 team. He emphasized how pit calls, tire management, and coordination allowed SVG to stretch fuel and maintain pace better than Larson or Bell in the closing stages. That teamwork suggests that Van Gisbergen's dominance isn't an anomaly, but the product of relentless execution and synchronization across crew, driver, and strategy. What's even more disquieting to competitors is how analogous his dominance feels to eras past, when Richard Petty, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon, or Jimmy Johnson would tower over their fields. Van Gisbergen may be pulling on that same trajectory, albeit focused on road courses. Larson's salute after the race, first in class among road course specialists, feels almost generous, an acknowledgement that Van Gisbergen isn't just winning, he's redefining the dimension of what winning looks like. And the reaction in the paddock has a turned-up edge. Drivers once confident in their abilities now question their lines mid-week. In conversations over radio, track walk groups, and competitor exchanges, you hear a recurring whisper. How do you catch a guy doing the unthinkable? Some veteran road racers wrestle with decisions they once made instinctively. Others wonder if their setups, tire allocation, and simulator data are now living on a playing field 0.2 seconds behind. Van Gisbergen's influence has extended beyond just his own performances, because his lines, his braking points, and his ability to find grip where others see nothing have become data points for rivals. Engineers that had been confident in their own road course packages are now revisiting baseline settings, adjusting camber, tire pressures, and corner balance in a way that concedes SVG's existence exists as a new constraint, not just a competitor. Drivers like Larson and Bell, already among the best on road courses, are now openly conceding that they have to dig deeper. Larson's own words, "He was just way faster than we were," carry more weight when they come from someone many consider among the elite. It's not just humility, it's recognition that chasing SVG isn't a linear challenge anymore, but a chess match at speed. When Bell and Larson attempted to sandwich him in the closing laps, Van Gisbergen's stable response and clear pace rendered their maneuvering moot. The effect on morale matters too. Some drivers admit they no longer race SVG. They race their own deficits, hoping practice laps, qualifying tweaks, or margin of error jumps will salvage performance. But at some point, that mentality fractures into overaggression or conservatism. Van Gisbergen's ability to remain composed under pressure, the precision in his aggression, underscores a psychological dominance that compounds his physical dominance. In the weeks following his Roval win, chatter across garage walls and social media began drifting into territory bordering on mutiny, not literal unrest, but frustration at feeling outpaced. Teams are demanding better tools, crew chiefs are interrogating past setups, and young drivers are viewing his modeling as a new standard, not a novelty. The phrase "raise the bar" now sounds underwhelming when used in relation to SVG. He's simply shifting the baseline. Yet Van Gisbergen himself has never acted unaware of this shift. His background, racing in different formats, mastering tire degradation, adapting lines through corners others lock up in, gives him a lens into what he can impose on this field. His aggressive style, imported from supercars, meshes instinctively with NASCAR's demands on road layouts. The result has created a kind of pressure cooker, one where other drivers aren't just racing him, they're chasing a redefined concept of how fast a road course lap can be. If SVG extends this streak, or even edges closer to Gordon's mark, the narrative would no longer just be about road course wins, but about legacy. He'd join in conversation with road legends, arguably stepping into territory that transcends which track is on the calendar. For every team watching, that possibility reshapes their approach to testing, driver development, and season planning. As NASCAR drivers stew in the wake of his performance, one thing becomes clear: Van Gisbergen's impact isn't confined to wins and statistics. He's created a ripple, a psychological, strategic, and technical upheaval in how road courses will be approached going forward. When one man rewrites the playbook mid-season, the rest of the field either adapts or falls further behind. So yes, drivers are furious, not out of anger, but because they know the challenge now is deeper than beating him on a single day. The real fight is evolving to match him over seasons. And with Van Gisbergen's unmatched run, the competition can no longer treat road courses as a specialization. They must be entire campaigns built around catching the unthinkable.
I still think to have a champion of NASCAR, that is a year-long championship.
Richard Petty has shaken the NASCAR world once again. The King didn't just share his thoughts, he delivered a wake-up call. In his latest comments, he blasted the Roval race, tore into NASCAR's playoff system, and questioned the direction the sport is heading. His message was clear and powerful. If things don't change soon, NASCAR may become a sport even he no longer recognizes. The Bank of America Roval 400 had its fair share of twists, SVG snagging his 5th win, Chastain and Logano battling for a playoff spot, and some late-race chaos. But if you ask Richard Petty, none of it mattered. The 7-time Cup Series champion didn't hold back in his Petty Race Recap podcast. Speaking with his longtime friend and former crew chief Dale Inman, Petty issued a brutal 6-word verdict about the race. All he had to do was stay on the racetrack. That was his take on Van Gisbergen's drive from P2 to victory lane, a clear jab at what Petty sees as a lack of real racing or meaningful competition. Petty emphasized that the frontrunners never changed much, and those who started up front mostly stayed there. In his view, it wasn't a race, it was a parade. It gets worse. When Inman brought up the dramatic scrap between Logano and Chastain for the transfer spot, Petty brushed it off. Why? Because those two weren't even competing for the win. Petty's stance is clear. If the best action is happening mid-pack, something's gone wrong. He didn't sugarcoat it either, summing up his take in just 6 words. To me, nothing was interesting in it. For a sport that thrives on edge-of-your-seat moments and close-quarters chaos, that's a devastating blow from one of its all-time greats.
One thing about the race, to me, I wasn't even interested in things because to me, nothing was interesting on it.
Petty's frustration highlights a growing disconnect between old-school drivers and the current NASCAR format, especially when it comes to road courses and the playoff system. And he didn't stop at criticizing the Roval. Richard Petty has never been a fan of NASCAR's playoff structure, but now, as whispers grow about potential 2026 changes, he's gone full throttle with his criticism. Responding to a fan's question about whether he prefers the 10-race chase or the modern playoff format, Petty didn't hesitate. "I still think that to have a champion of NASCAR, that is a year-long championship. It's not a one-race championship, it's not a four-race championship. If we run 36 races, who is the best out of those 36? They should be the champion."
I still think to have a champion of NASCAR, that is a year-long championship. It's not a one-race championship. It's not a four-race championship. It should be, if we run 36 races, who is the best out of those 36? They should be the champion.
That's not just an opinion, it's a challenge to the entire system. Petty is calling for a return to the roots, where the season-long grind determined greatness. No gimmicks, no eliminations, just racing. The system Petty is criticizing has created moments, no doubt. Ryan Blaney's 2023 title run was made possible by a few clutch playoff wins, even though his regular season was fairly average. Same with Logano in 2024, a lackluster start followed by a red-hot playoff performance earned him the crown. But Petty's point is this: should the championship go to the hottest driver over 10 races, or the most consistent driver over 36? It's a fair question, and it's one that divides the fan base. To understand Petty's frustration, just look back at Matt Kenseth's 2003 championship. He only won one race but managed 25 top 10 finishes, a model of consistency that gave him the title. That season led to the introduction of The Chase, NASCAR's first version of the playoffs. While Petty prefers tradition, Joey Logano is the modern system's biggest defender. After barely edging out Chastain at the Roval, Logano was fired up. The playoffs create drama. They create storylines, they create awesome moments like that. I don't understand what people don't like about it. For Logano, NASCAR's playoffs are about excitement. He believes every point matters, every race counts, and the tension it creates is what fans love. His view? If the regular season didn't lead to these do-or-die races, would anyone be talking? He didn't stop there. Logano even addressed the critics directly. "If you're one of those people who say the regular season doesn't matter, playoff points don't matter, 1 point would have been the difference there. I preach that all the time. I'm not just saying that because it works for us. I'm saying it because it's true." Then, taking a shot at the Roval critics, he added, "If you don't have cutoff races and things like that, what are you even talking about today? How Shane waxed everyone's buh? That's what you want? I'm just saying, this playoff format is wicked." Richard Petty's biggest issue isn't just with the format, it's what the format represents. In his day, championships were earned through grueling, season-long consistency. A driver had to be smart, fast, durable, and maybe a little lucky, week in and week out. Now, a driver can limp through the first two-thirds of the season, get hot in the playoffs, and walk away with the trophy. To a legend like Petty, that doesn't feel like racing justice. He built his legacy on grinding out wins and top finishes every single week. The idea that a driver can underperform for most of the year and still end up as champion is an idea he can't get behind. Even the drama at the Roval couldn't convince Petty. Sure, Logano and Chastain gave fans something to talk about, but the winner was essentially unchallenged. And for Petty, if the win feels inevitable, the rest doesn't matter. He and Inman even agreed that watching these races live from the stands is disorienting. Without major lead changes or dynamic passes, fans can easily lose the plot. It's a far cry from the nail-biters Petty once dominated. Petty's harsh verdict on both the Roval race and the playoff system has added fuel to a debate that's been simmering for years. On one side, fans who grew up watching the likes of Petty, Earnhardt, and Wallace agree that today's NASCAR feels overproduced. On the other, a younger audience embraces the drama, the eliminations, and the playoff structure that creates viral moments. There's no clear consensus, but what's undeniable is that Petty's words carry weight. This growing divide between the legends and the new guard is only getting wider. On one side, you have veterans like Petty calling for a return to a points-based championship. On the other, current stars like Logano pushing for drama and spectacle. NASCAR finds itself stuck in the middle. The sport wants to honor its roots while appealing to modern audiences who crave action and unpredictability. Is there a solution that satisfies both? Some have proposed a hybrid system, keeping the playoff excitement but weighting the regular season more heavily. Others want a full return to the classic points model. The 2026 playoff rumors could be the tipping point. If NASCAR decides to tweak the system again, it might be time to strike a balance, maybe a hybrid format that emphasizes both season-long performance and clutch playoff execution. Because right now, the current model is polarizing. It delivers moments but sacrifices merit. And when Richard Petty says the current path isn't working, the industry should pay attention. Whether you agree with him or not, one thing is clear. When the king speaks, it's worth listening. And this time, he didn't just criticize a race. He questioned the future of the sport he helped build. Stay tuned, because this story isn't over. Not by a long shot.
Can you do some more racing next year?
Yeah, we're planning on coming back. Part-time? Yeah, part-time.
Cletus McFarland is about to shock the racing world. The YouTuber who made his name with wild burnouts and crazy car stunts is stepping back into real competition. In 2026, he's returning to the track, chasing a dream that many thought was impossible. The question is, can an internet star actually fight his way to the top levels of NASCAR? Cletus, whose real name is Garrett Mitchell, first got famous on YouTube. He built his brand with wild car builds, crazy stunts, and loud horsepower that drew millions of viewers. His fun style and love for racing made him one of the biggest automotive creators online. Unlike many others, he always wanted to take his passion from the garage to the racetrack, which pushed him into professional racing. His first major step came in Arca, the series often seen as a gateway into NASCAR. In 2023, he made headlines when he attempted his first short track start at Bristol. For anyone who has followed Bristol, they know it is not the place for beginners. It's a half-mile bullring where even veterans get humbled. Cletus qualified 27th and managed to run only 61 of the 200 scheduled laps. A right front tire failure sent him into the wall and ended his night early. He was open about the disappointment, but also about what he had learned. The challenges of managing the car, tire wear, and traffic on such a small and intense circuit gave him an immediate education in what racing at this level really requires. That debut was far from glamorous, but it didn't scare him off. In fact, it set the stage for what came next. Over the following seasons, Cletus continued to chase Arca starts, particularly at the super speedways. By 2025, he had entered 4 different Arca races. These included major stops at Daytona, Talladega, Charlotte, and of course, Bristol once again. This time, the results were far more promising. He managed to earn 2 top 10 finishes, including a strong run at Talladega and another at Charlotte. Those results turned some heads in the garage because few expected a YouTuber to hang inside the top 10 against serious competition. Still, Cletus remained his usual self in interviews, admitting that he got his butt kicked plenty of times along the way. He pointed out that racing is unforgiving, and he had to respect the craft, the preparation, and the years of experience his competitors had. Instead of getting discouraged, he treated every setback as another lesson, something that his fans resonated with. They weren't just watching a creator throw himself into racing for views, they were watching him grow as a driver.
All right. Reactions to first Arca Bristol race.
I got my butt kicked, man.
Then came the announcement in September 2025. Standing on pit road at Bristol, the very same track where he made his rough debut, Cletus confirmed that he will return in 2026 for a part-time Arca schedule. This wasn't a vague tease. His team owner at Retta Jones Racing explained that they're lining up somewhere between 8 to 10 Arca races for the season, along with additional super late model starts. That's a significant commitment and shows this isn't just about dabbling anymore, it's about building consistency and proving he can belong in the racing world. The plan for 2026 is important for 2 reasons. First, it gives Cletus the chance to log more laps, more experience, and more time with his crew. In motorsports, repetition and familiarity are everything. Second, it positions him for his bigger long-term goal, which he has not been shy about. He has said he wants to compete in the Daytona 500, possibly by 2027 or 2028. That's one of the most ambitious jumps imaginable, but he is setting the groundwork to at least make it a possibility. Source. Of course, that dream comes with plenty of speculation and rumors. Earlier this year, chatter began spreading that Cletus might be involved in NASCAR's Truck Series, with whispers about possible manufacturer backing, particularly from Ram. The rumor mill spun fast, with some people even suggesting a path that would take him directly into NASCAR's National Series. However, Ram's CEO was quick to deny any involvement, putting a stop to that storyline. For now, the focus remains on Arca, but the fact that these kinds of rumors even exist shows how much excitement Cletus has generated. The road ahead won't be simple. racing costs a lot, and even with fans and sponsors, it's tough to fund. On top of that, some people doubt him. Supporters cheer him on, but critics say he doesn't belong or is taking a spot from another driver.